Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. I want to tell you, I had a little bit of excitement last night. I went to Central Park, and the city that I live in is about 150, maybe 200,000 population. So it's not like a little Central Park, like a lot of the Central Parks you've seen in my videos. It's kind of a bigger one. And they were having a, okay, I'll tell you, it's probably about the size of, maybe 2 football fields. And on one end, they had, hey, buenos dias. They had a political function, a political rally, and so they had that going, and on the other end they had street entertainers, all different kinds, and so there was a lot of people at the Central Park. So, and I like to go to Central Park whenever I start feeling lonely. Because of all the people. I try to do something with my people skills, but it's really hard when I don't speak the language. But anyway, so I'm over here, I'm walking around, I'm enjoying all the street acts, and you know, it was neat. It was exciting, and it was funny. Well, not really funny, but out of nowhere. I think in the United States they call them flash gangs. I think. I'm not sure. But anyway, out of nowhere, 20 or 30 of these young men, I mean, they run. I mean, they from in between the buildings, they just ran, right, not up to us, but right out into where the cars were, that were all around there, and the traffic all stopped. And they were chasing, there must have been maybe, it was hard to really distinguish who was who, but I would say there's probably 4 to 6 of these young men, and then the rest of them were chasing them. And it was one of the big bunch of them. The guy was probably my size, young man, probably, you know, like I say, teenagers. And then the guy that he was wanting to whip up on was probably about like a younger teenager guy. And so that is really what the thing was all about. So so they started this thing in the street, and so they took a couple swings at the little guy, and the little guy would kind of run away, and all the traffic and all this kind of stuff. And then they came up and see all the people. I mean, the place was packed with people. And then so then the young guy came up, or the little guy came up with his friends running up into the crowd of all the people. And then at the same time, all these others come up there. And like I say, down here, it's illegal to defend yourself. So, and the reason it's illegal to defend yourself, because they have another law, it's legal to hurt others. So that's why, you know, I can't give you the answer to that. I'm just telling you the way it is. And so they come up into the crowd, and there's a lot of man and wife and their children. I mean, this is where you go for your date. You take your dates out there, and you take your children there to watch all the, you know, magicians, puppets, juggling, all kinds of cool stuff goes on there. And then, so they have all these people there, and so they get right amongst us, and I'm thinking, oh, this isn't good. And I'm trying to figure out, you know, if it's, I don't know, you'd call it gang against gang, or, you know, maybe they're all the same gang, and he's trying to show his strength to all the rest of them. I don't know. I'm not into all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I feel I have responsibilities, not first to myself. No one hurts me. That's the first thing. And the other thing is, because I have special abilities, and my morals tells me that I need to step in and help others. But at first I had to figure out who I need to help. So I had to figure out, is that 4 to 6, were those just not part of that gang, and that gang wanted to assault them, and so then they were running away from them, or are they part of the gang? And so it, you know, here I'm trying to think of all this kind of stuff, and then they're right amongst all of us, and so I'm thinking again, now how am I going to handle all this? Now there's a difference between a riot. When you get into a riot, all the people act like a herd, and they all, you know, do crazy stuff. That's what happens on a riot. Now, this wasn't. They were all followers, and so I knew at the time all I had to do was put the hurt on as many as I could, as fast as I could. And if I did the hurt very good, remember we talk about blood, and we talk about screaming and hollering, and I knew if I could do that good enough, if I could make them bleed and scream and holler enough, the rest of them wouldn't want to be involved. But the problem is, I didn't know who all was involved, and I did know that these other people with their families and stuff didn't want to get involved, and they were all trying to move and get out of the way as these people got right amongst us. And what I did is I just stood my ground. You remember, I'm into self-defense. This is what makes it hard for me to make a decision. Do I go into them, or do I just hold my ground? And it was a very, very sticky situation, and I only had seconds to make all these decisions, and I had to figure out who all was a threat. And I mean, I was amongst hundreds of people, and I was shocked there wasn't no police. There wasn't no police or anything there. But anyway, so I'm right there, ready to do whatever I got to do. And I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? So, like I say, the first thing I had to figure out is who was the threats. And like I say, the little boy and his friends, his friends really weren't getting involved. Just the one boy, and the one big guy, and the one smaller boy. So I'm not sure their connection. So that's why I didn't get involved in that. But I did know these other people didn't have anything to do with it. I know that. And so I was waiting to see if they were going to try to get these other people involved. Even though these other people are really scared. I mean, you could see the fear in the whole crowd. And but what it did bring to my attention, what I did think of, I knew I had the physical abilities. I mean, these were young studs. They were quick. I could see their hands swinging. They were quick. I knew it. But at the same time, they were young studs. They were quick, but they don't know how to use what they have. So just by what I could see, I already knew what I was going to do. And there was no way they could defend themselves from me. So I had no problems with that. The problem was when I'm going to get involved and how am I going to get involved. So the next thing I thought is before I get involved, I was going to go, whoa! Real loud. And then I would say, vamos. I would stand with authority, point my finger, tell them to vamos. And being loud like that gets their attention. and then standing with authority and pointing and telling them, "Vamos, get out, leave," then we would see what's going to happen after that. That was the only part that I was kind of iffy on. And the reason it's iffy is if they turn on me, I have no problem. There's no iffy about that. I know what I'm going to do. But if they were to continue doing whatever it is that they're going to be doing, either harming the young guy or, well, I know they're not going to harm the other people. If I saw them hurting the other people, I would go into them. That is not self-defense. I would be going into them. So the reason I would holler and then stand with authority and try to tell them to get out is I want them to come to me. I want them to put me in a self-defense situation. Legally down here, it won't work. I've already been told by multiple people that even in self-defense, you will go to jail. And it's okay. I'll do what I have to do. But so I knew that was going to happen. But I always say you have to stand by your beliefs. And so it was really a touchy situation, thinking if I can get them to come to me, I have no problems with this. But if I have to jump in amongst it, that is going to be a problem. I am much better on defending than I am attacking. I've made many videos talking about when you defend, it takes a small number, but when you attack, you have to be overwhelming. You have to have a large numbers to attack if you're planning on being successful. And so I say, even at those odds, like I say, I could hurt them fast enough and hard enough that I really wasn't concerned. I mean, they were young, inexperienced, more experienced in intimidation than the true hands-on. So, and like I say, it was easy because I already knew, I don't know if he was the leader or not, but I knew the big guy was the muscle. Like I say, I don't understand the talk. I can't understand what they're saying. But I know he is the muscle. I know he is the strong arm. So whoever the leader is depends a lot on the big guy. And I mean, I could have taken him pretty good. It would have been a lot of fun. I always feel bad when I'm picking on people smaller than me. So this guy was, like I say, he was my size, my build. He was good. He was good. Good intimidation. He really did a good job scaring everybody. But like I say, it was an experience. And what I always say, you take an experience, and whether you do good or do bad in it, it doesn't make any difference. You take this experience and you build on it. And now, like I say, I didn't really learn anything out of this other than one thing. And I was debating. I had my coat on, and I was debating whether to take my coat off or leave it on. When it's on, I know they can only, there's, you know, the numbers. I don't know if you've ever been beat on before. Getting beat on is really a tough experience. People talk about getting booted. Now, you just get somebody kick you, you might not think that's too much of a big deal, but one kick may not be that big of a deal. If it's done right, it could be a big deal. But when you have multiple people booting on you or hitting on you, it is devastating. It really does do a lot of physical damage. So my coat, I kind of thought I wanted my coat on because there were so many people. I knew there were people behind me. I knew I was going to be taking strikes from behind, and so I thought about leaving my coat on. And I did end up leaving my coat on. But also I thought about taking my coat off. And I still don't know. That's the one thing that I'm still thinking about and going over in my mind over and over again, taking my coat off. One thing, when I'm taking my coat off, I know that would get everybody's attention. And so I like that idea. I like to get people's attention. So getting the attention would have been a good thing. So that might have been a good thing. But the thing is, I also needed a coat. There was no weapons at the time, and what I saw, no weapons were out. But if I'm going up against that many people and they have knives, I would want my coat. I know that. So I don't know. It's just one of these things that you just think. I'm fortunate enough I didn't have to take any kind of action, so nothing good or bad in the way of action came out of the results. But at least I got more to think on, and I could not believe how fast they came out between the buildings, and they just went in and they were able to control the crowd. Just the 20 to 30 of them was able to control that much of a crowd. And I mean, within seconds. So I've heard about, I think they call them flash gangs, and I've heard about them, and I've always imagined them in a convenience store. And like I say, I got in that convenience store shooting in Kansas. So to me, being in a convenience store and a flash gang doesn't bother me any. So, but I never seen them, and I never thought about it, in a big, crowded public area. And like I say, no one was going to take a stand. I mean, remember I always say, you stand, I will stand next to the people that will stand for themselves. And I was the only one standing. So, but I looked around because I wanted to know who it was I could stand with. And there wasn't any. So I don't really quite know how that works. Even when I had my family and children and stuff, we knew what was going to happen. I would take a stand, my wife would take the children, and they would go, you know, to do their thing. And so, but I'd never seen that last night. It really kind of shocked me that all the men stayed with the women and children and just got away. And like I say, I've never done that. I've always stood my ground. So that was kind of strange. So I learned that probably down here, unless it's prearranged, I'm probably going to be by myself. So anyway, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com.